Bonjour, hello everybody. So we will start our roundtable. Can the speakers join me on stage for this panel conversation about actually the place of creation in fashion in the age of generative AI and also economical and ecological injunction. Thank you for being here. You can sit in front of your picture. Cette table ronde sera en anglais. Si vous êtes francophone, vous pouvez demander des casques pour bénéficier de la traduction simultanée en français. Okay, so to start, I would love you to introduce yourself in 3 minutes because you are already 6 and we have a topic that is very, very heavy on the table. So maybe we can start by you, Shri, and then we continue in this sense.
Hello, my name is Shri. I'm from Sri Lanka. And by profession, I'm a computer engineer. And alongside that, I also am a self-taught fashion designer and a yoga teacher. I have a company called La Maison Chabelle, which has 2 distinct brands. One is Shri, my namesake brand. It's deeply rooted in heritage. I do more artisanal, creative designs in this brand. The other brand is Chabelle Paris, which is an elevated essentials brand, more inspired by Parisian vibes. I also have co-founded an IT company with my husband. And for the last 18 years, I've been in the tech industry, working in various industries within tech. And for the last 2 years, I'm consulting to an Dubai-based AI agency. Yes, thank you. That's about me.
Yeah, okay. Hello, my name is Mathilde. I'm French. I have been working in fashion for 10 years now. I teach fashion culture in various fashion schools with the main question, how is fashion political? And in my spare time, I'm also a tattoo artist.
Hi, I am Sylvia. It's around 15 years I work in fashion industry. I was always working in product development process. So I started as a seamstress, then I learned pattern making, and then I ended up in 3D and AI space. In fact, before I founded Fashionista, I was working in Timberland implementing AI and 3D projects. And after that, I decided to launch Fashionista because I realized that a lot of AI tools available today in the market are just tackling the design part or marketing part, while what is really sitting back fashion right now is the product development. So this is what we are doing. We are now allowing companies to train their own AI models with their patterns to be able to create new ones.
Thank you. So, Taskin, would you like us to pass your slides? Because since you are an artist, it was much better to get the slides. I hope you're going to agree with me.
Sure. I mean, thanks. Thanks for preparing that. Right, thank you. My name is Tashkin Götz. I am a mixed reality designer and workflow architect. I'm currently based in Berlin. I started in fashion, and like some of the other panelists, I have many years of experience in fashion, meaning that I know how to design, develop, produce, present, and market clothes. And when it comes to the digital, my aim is usually to bring something tactile, something emotional into the digital space, because often people come with hesitation and think that digital means it's lacking depth, it's lacking the things that we love about clothing. I work across analog, 3D, and AI, meaning that I do not only create collections or garments, or in this case, eyewear. It's also that I think about how does a designer work today, and how can I look at new emerging technologies such as generative AI, and how can I incorporate it, and how does it help me even if it wasn't built for fashion in the first place. Here you can see an example of me working in 3D first and then taking it into or using AI to make this design even more realistic and engaging. Yeah, one thing that defines my mode of working is that I don't stay loyal to my processes. I rethink and I change the way I work every time, and I think this is also what makes fashion fashion. It's a reflection of our time, and therefore I think that yeah, it's really the most important thing for designer to let go of romanticism and use AI in the best possible ways. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi,
Oh.
I'm Jemima.
How do I? Sorry, how do I go through this? Cool. Yeah, cool. Thanks.
No problem. Sorry. Hi, I'm Jemima. I pretty much grew up working in fashion because my mother has a fashion brand. So I think from age 10, I was spending every holiday working with her, and then went on to get further experience in the fashion industry throughout university. So worked at Tommy Hilfiger, Selfridges, Net-a-Porter, and Anya Hindmarch before leaving university and going in a totally different direction and joining an AI-focused venture capital fund, where I spent some time working across the portfolio of AI startups, and then spent 3 years in innovation and strategy consulting, advising kind of corporate clients on how to innovate, invest in, or partner with startups. And then decided to start my own, which is Sartor. It's kind of like a tool to make it very easy for anyone to design and manufacture fashion. So you can think of it as like the Canva for fashion design with a connected manufacturing network. And alongside that, we also provide a service to often influencers, but also other emerging brands or aspiring fashion designers, helping them with the designing and sourcing of collections.
Thank you. Tristan.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Tristan Legros. I'm an art director and creative consultant. I'm also a trainer. I work with agencies, with brands that seeks to work with those new tools that brings generative AI, which is my specialty for 2 years now. I don't come from fashion, but I had a few experiences with brands, especially with designers from fashion brands. And despite the question of the tool, they often ask me questions about creativity, what to do with those tools. Are those tools killing creativity or the other way? That's it.
Thank you so much. So, as you can see, we have different profiles around the table, different perspectives, and very rich backgrounds. Sorry, you're right on time, huh? Always. I thought it was in silence, but it's not. Technology is not always good for everything, you know. It's not sufficiently smart. It should have noticed that I was speaking on a round table. Anyway, so my first question for you is, what's the share of creativity in fashion today? Is it as big as it used to be? Is it expressed in a different way from what it used to be the case? Anyone? Shri.
Okay. So more than we should say it's not different, but I see it's sort of shifted. Think of it like when we think of creativity in fashion, we were just having a discussion about it, and we all agree that it's sometimes overrated when we talk about creativity, especially when it comes to big brands. But oftentimes when you think of creativity, something that comes to our minds is like, think of Chanel liberating women's dresses, the way we dressed, and Dior's new look, or McQueen used to do these theatrical shows. But nowadays, I feel like when we think about creativity as designers, as creators, brands, what we should more focus on is how we use our resources, how we become creative in the materials, from, I don't know, from mushroom leathers to banana fibers, or like zero waste pattern making and designing from waste. So I think these are the terrains of creativity in this age and the day.
Thank you. Mathilde?
For me, historical, in an historical view, fashion has made major changes since the beginning of the haute couture in the 19th, obviously. And we have this major groups like LVMH or Kering who are pushing boundaries about creativity, but also marketing and communication fields. And in this way, for me, we have a lot more creativity, but if you have the money for it. So these global groups can sometimes not be aware of some creativity we have in very emergent or young fashion designer.
Yes, I think, yeah, maybe to add to that, one of the ways that I think creativity in fashion has changed is if you look over the past, let's say 25 years, 25 years ago, trends were completely created by the leading designers, and then they'd kind of filter down. And I think that power dynamic has shifted a little bit with the internet and with social media. There is more trend setting that is possible from the ground up, from people collecting incredible fashion archives, or from secondhand sellers or content creators and influencers setting trends, and then those actually kind of filtering up to the established fashion houses. There's a bit more of like a symbiotic relationship rather than this one-way kind of trend creation. And I think that does come from a bit of a democratization of the fashion industry. Obviously, there are still some problems, but it has allowed there to be more diversity and more democratization in terms of who can express themselves and who can be seen and who can create trends. And so I think that has changed the place of creativity from just being within the design teams of these established brands to being anybody who can find the way to get their voice through and out into the public domain.
Yes.
I honestly believe that if we want to speak about creativity in fashion, we really can't speak about big fashion brands today. Because what happens in big fashion brand is that collection is designed by Excel sheets. It's not designed by designers. They just got the informations on what is supposed to sell for what we have the demand right now, and also the demand is predicted like 18 months in advance, so basically they have crystal balls to predict it, and designers are designing what Excel sheet tells to them, not what they want to design. And unfortunately, this is how it works in big fashion brand.
Okay, I would love to hear your opinion about it, because I know you are working for a pretty big brand.
Yeah, no, I love this discussion. I think from a designer's perspective, I'm really excited to work today because as a designer, I have a toolbox, and my toolbox is now much bigger with generative AI. I do agree on the point that there's not enough time to use it creatively. And when I talk with other designers, they often complain that they know there are really cool tools out there, but they don't have the time to learn how to use them or to implement them. And then when I work with bigger brands, it's usually on specific projects, but they will also not allow you to come inside the house and just change everything and change their mode of working, because it just doesn't work like that. And I think when we think of AI as a danger to creativity, we think of it as we just type in a short prompt and then it generates endless images and collections. So it's doing all of the kind of the creative part, the ideation, the creative direction. And I think that is not where the magic lies. I think the way it is a tool that enables a designer is that you can get very specific. So it's not short prompt, endless collections, but to refine. You have a vision in your mind and you refine your prompts, you find the right models, you combine different tools until you have the output that is exactly what you need.
Thank you. Tristan, you would like to add something about it?
I totally agree with Taskin, and I think what you show us in your slides speaks perfectly for what I think. Those are great tools. You can do anything today. You can have 1,000 ideas and shortly put them on images. And they are basic tools, and they are complicated tools like the one I saw you use, called Comfy UI, right? And these tools, I know people mastering those tools and doing awful things, and I see creators like you doing great things. So it speaks for itself. If you have nothing to say, AI won't say anything for you. That's what I think.
If you don't mind, I will jump directly to my third question, because you have opened the door to that one with this conflict between fastness and creation time. So my third question is the acceleration facilitated by technological innovation the enemy of creativity?
You want to go?
I can start. Yeah. So I believe that being able to make it faster actually opens the door for creativity, because as Tashkin said, a lot of designers have no time to try those tools, and given that the times are really accelerated in big fashion companies, it's like months of meetings to understand what we are going to design, and then only few weeks to design. So this is what really kills the creativity. Now, having more time to be able to design, to explore, to create something new can really bring the new level of creativity.
Thank you for this answer. Sri?
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because you brought the word enemy. So there's this discussion going on in the world, like, oh, AI is going to replace humans. And to paraphrase Mark Twain, like, the extinction of humans are, like, deeply exaggerated. I believe, like, my opinion, like, perspective of this is mainly because I'm in both the worlds, is very optimistic. And right now, for certain people, like I know graphics designers, and they're like, oh, this is going to kill our jobs. It's not creative. It doesn't have emotions. But what's going to actually happen is, in the end, we are going to use these tools, and we're going to find out ways to collaborate with it. So I feel like in the end it'll be like a collaboration between man and the machine, the designer and the AI and the algorithms, and it'll be more like faster. In the meantime, it'll give us humans more time to share our stories, to be creative. So I think it's a good thing. It's not the enemy.
Just let me ask a little question to our audience. Among you, who is working in fashion in a creative job? Okay. Are you using generative AI? If yes, you can raise your hand. Yes. Would you say that you have more time for creation since you are using generative AI?
So I'm still a student. So I think with fashion tech, like 10, 20 years ago, the ones that's being used today, like most commonly used, it takes a lot of time to learn it. Whereas I think fashion tech that has like started like a few years ago, they make it more easier to learn how to use it. So I think the old programs, it takes a while to learn, but I think once you learn it, yes, it definitely frees up more time, but it just takes a while to learn. Whereas today, it makes it easier. Like the fashion tech that started today is quicker to learn, which means it's quicker to use, if that answers, if you know what I mean.
Thank you for this testimonial. So let's back to our panel. So you wanted to add something?
Yeah, I think within every kind of creative process or medium, there are always parts of it that are, I think, what people think of as creativity, so like idea generation. And then there are parts of it that are more technical. Like if you take fashion production, there's all of the pattern cutting, there's tech pack creation, and there are those technical steps in the process. And I think a lot of what AI is focusing on within the kind of industry-specific applications of AI, they are focused on those more technical processes. So I know, Sylvia, that your company is focusing on that, for example, with pattern generation. And then I think that's the right focus, because if you can reduce the amount of repetitive work that humans are doing and then give them back more free time to focus on the creativity and expressing their ideas, that allows for more creativity. And even then thinking of I think, like you said, Tashkin, like what people envision when you say generative AI and fashion, they imagine that you're just generating images of all of your designs and you don't have to do any design work anymore. I think that can be a very useful way of generating ideas and sparking some thoughts that you will then build upon. So even with ChatGPT, I hope nobody just copy and pastes and doesn't think about the content that is being generated by it critically. And I think a similar thing will happen with image generation. You can use it as a starting point, but then really move beyond that and work into it to be able to get to an end result a bit faster.
Correct. Anyone else on that question? Yes? Mathilde and then Tashkin, or yeah?
Okay. For me, there is all the option you're talking about with AI and everything, but the main question remains that the sparks for me in fashion, in creativity, in imagination, it's when there is a problem, there is a constraint, there is an obstacle. This is when you're trying to fix something that sometimes the magic happens. So I'm just wondering that if we have some tools which are erasing these problems, we will lose also part of the creativity as well.
Yeah, maybe just one more thought. I think that the acceleration comes from the market and the management and just the system itself. It doesn't come from the technology, but of course the technology can help to satisfy this demand. But again, I think that offers us freedom. I just had this project where for a sportswear brand, we needed to create 10 garments, but in the digital. So we had e-commerce ready product photos, basically, of products that weren't developed yet. And within 24 working hours or 3 days, we created all of those pieces with the patterns, the 3D and AI-enhanced product photos that look very realistic, so technically they could be used, but for products that weren't yet sure if they would be produced. So with this kind of acceleration and with this AI-enhanced workflow, we can test out ideas that otherwise we wouldn't be able to, because it just would cost too much money, take too much time to sample, to send those fabrics, to get it sewn, to bring it into a studio, to shoot it on a model, to do the retouching, and so on.
Sure. Yes, please.
A short thing to agree with you. I think it's also, yes, maybe the management, the acceleration come from that, the market. I gave a training program last week in a fashion group, and designers told me when I showed them those new tools that it would be great to tackle all those boring tasks they have to do every day, liberating some space for creativity. And they told me about, a graphic designer came to me and said, yes, I have this, I made this T-shirt last year, and my marketing director told me, yes, you have to do the 2026 version of this same T-shirt, because it works so well, and it's boring for him. So AI was a way to do that, and he gave me another example, of directors coming with new designs they made with ChatGPT. So they not only come from Excel but from ChatGPT. That's, yes, I had a new idea. We have to work on that, and that was the way to thread off.
Okay, very interesting point you're raising with the way we use it. Is it for make shorter deadlines for everyone and accelerate the whole process, or if it's a way to let more time to qualitative work? Personally, I have the feeling that the clients are always more demanding regarding the quantity of work that we have to produce, but maybe it's just my idea. So I have another question for you is, in today's highly demanding economic and environmental and also communicational context, you have talked about it already, would you say that stylistic audacity takes a back seat for those who want to succeed in fashion? I mean, is it still very, very important for a brand to be innovative, stylistically speaking, or is it something that is a bit less important compared to other things like communications and such?
I think time ago it was fashion company that create trends. Today trends are created on social media. So basically, fashion companies and what they are building and what they are selling depends on what people say they want to wear. And it completely flips the way garments are made, because time ago, it was really time to think about the collection, to understand what we want to build, which problems we want to solve for our customers. It was really beautiful process. Today it's flipped and it's like, okay, folks on TikTok say they want to wear green t-shirts, so let's make 100 green t-shirts and they have to be done for tomorrow. And this is the saddest part of fashion industry today, but unfortunately often it looks like this. Or there are marketing leads or managers that are making garments in ChatGPT, and they are sending it to designers and saying, okay, I want this, but those garments can't be realized in real life. They have problems in construction, they have completely changed them. It's even more work than just sending them the mood boards like they did time ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sylvia, on that one. To add to that, so earlier, like I said, like Dior's new look, trends were set by big fashion houses, but now it's not confined to these spaces. Like it feels like she was telling earlier, it's more democratized. So we see in like TikTok aesthetics or second-hand styling by some influencer. So they set trends nowadays from bottoms up, and then these fashion companies sort of try to make what was already settled in the like what people want. But you asked about that, should we or the fashion creators be audacious about the style? I think, I'm not sure, this is just my opinion, we can be audacious on what we do. We can think about the environment, its people. We can be audacious in the decisions we make when it comes to sustainability, the materials we use. So it can be a style. Style doesn't always has to be aesthetics.
Yeah, you're right. But it's true that I don't think For instance, most brands right now, they do a super great job around communication and on social networks. They are very, very creative for communication, and you know this topic very well. But when it comes to the product, sometimes it's a bit poor. Huh? Not for all the brands, of course, but you know, sometimes the creation level sounds to be... Margins. Yes.
That's what marketing is for, to elevate experiences, create experiences, and I'm mostly optimistic about those new tools, and I think what GenAI can't bring is experience. I mean, creativity comes from experience, and I hope designers will take it that way.
Anyone else on this question?
I was thinking about this example of TikTok and how it makes fashion more vulgar. I don't think that is the case. When I was studying, we were talking a lot about how clothing has to be screen sexy now, and this is like the end of craftsmanship and everything is just logos and so on. And I think that we are beyond this stage, and I'm also following a lot of creators who go through luxury stores and then they will show you this Alaya dress and they make these very innovative knits and they're like, look how this is knitted, and then you wear it like this and this is so cleverly done. Other creators who will go through stores and show you the insides of garments and then kind of educate you in a very entertaining way of what a good seam has to look like and how you identify quality in a product. So I think there's also just a positive in this development.
Good to hear. Okay, so my last questions, but then maybe we'll have time to come back to the second one. Is the amount of time devoted to communication and personal branding taken away from the time allocated to the creation of the product itself? It's pretty much the same thing that we were discussing before. What is your opinion?
I think it probably is, and I think that's maybe just a reality, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that so long as customers can kind of discern the quality that they want from their clothing, then actually, if you look at the most successful creative directors, they have created personal brands that transcend whatever maison that they are at, and actually people are buying into the brand because of them themselves. So over the past 6 months, I've launched or supported the launch of 6 different influencer-led brands, for example. And the one that has been most successful is, or that has had the most early traction, is a brand that has really leveraged social media to be able to engage with a very specific kind of subculture and community within Gyaru Japanese style fashion. And it's through her communication of the product and of all of her design details and all of the things that she thought about when she was designing those garments. It's that communication that has really won over the audience and got them very engaged in the design process and eager to buy the products when they're launched. And I actually think that that communication and that creation of community is why people are interested in buying into the brand. It isn't just about the product, it is about what does that product and the brand mean to you and what is its wider significance and the sense of belonging that it gives you. And fashion is always about more than just the product. It is about the stories and the feeling and the brand world that you buy into. So I think that that's just a natural kind of evolution of what a brand or a fashion product is.
Yeah, agree. Yes, please, Sylvia.
I totally agree with Jemina, and it's probably the best change that we are witnessing right now in fashion industry. This is what I said before. You see on TikTok green T-shirts, you make them 100, and this is the brand that really don't have the personal branding on creative director or people that are working. For example, a great example from big fashion brands is Hugo Boss. Hugo Boss has its own program for workers, for employees, to create their personal brands. And it really, really works well. For example, on LinkedIn, I see a lot of amazing posts. And for me, working for Hugo Boss would be a very, very cool thing. And they are doing the same on another social media for their potential customers. This is super important today, and it's a great, great thing.
Thank you for this. It's very interesting approach. Yes, Matthew.
For me, personal branding is also a question of creativity and audacity, because a lot of designers are designing products to fit in the grid of Instagram. For example, we know that Jacques Mus is working like this. He produces 3 items that will correctly fit in the grid. So it's also like if we have new rules with social media, new rules brings new ideas. So it's not a bad thing, but it's a new rules. It's some new rules that we need to deal with when we are designers, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I also think because sometimes some people are worried that we are becoming robots, like everything's machine now, we are using lots of AI. So this is a good place to share our stories, our human stories, and then now we can decide how we tell this story like we created with the use of machines. So I think this is a really good thing that we have more capacity, space to create these stories and share it along with the products. So also because people are not just buying the products now, as we all know it's people want to connect to it. They see something that they can relate to it, and literally they buy the emotions. That's why it's being really lately that trends are like really being absorbed by people so fast, because people want to be connected and associated and belong to something.
Yeah, that's why the example you've provided is so interesting. Because most of the time, the personal branding is used as it is for, like, for instance, some luxury brands, they choose to have an artistic director who's already very, very famous, so that, you know, it's another approach. But when it comes to like participative way of using personal branding, it's maybe,
you know, people buy from people. Like it's amazing to think that you have very well-known creative director, but a lot of people are not connecting at that level. They connect with small designers, they connect with single people. Like, really, a great way to describe it was the one that Jemina said. It's at much lower level, and this is where it really clicks.
very inspiring. Tristan.
Yes, I agree with you all, and I think personal branding, yes, it's a great tool, and Instagram, if you have something to say and if you don't hide behind those tools, and it's an extension of what you have to say. It's a new way, you can express new things, more things about what you're creating, bring a universe around it, and yes, I think it's great.
Sorry, one idea that's just come out of this is I think that community is kind of this like buzzword in fashion and in any kind of consumer industry at the moment, but I think it's really overused, and a lot of brands are doing it in completely the wrong way because they don't have a person at the center of it, and I just don't think that you can create a community without like a public-facing individual or persona that people can communicate with and identify with. So I think that the kind of increase in this idea of having personal brands for the people at the head of the company or the employees of the company makes complete sense, and is probably the only way to really allow for a genuine like branded community.
And just to finish, everything is great, like we just said about social media, but it takes time, and this time you are using to create personal branding. You're not using it to be creative in your product. I think you have to, it's like if you have to split your energy between social media, doing face cam, whatever, and doing your product, which is a major difference between now and 20 years ago.
So true. I think you know very well what Matt Smith is saying.
Yes, because everybody's like, I have to put my face out there, like do more Instagram reels, and I haven't been doing that. Honestly, I feel like it takes lots of energy. So I really appreciate and respect the people who do that. But like you said, it's a matter of fact, like a question where we put our energy, whether the branding part or creating the actual product. But I guess now it's like has become a double-edged sword. We can't avoid it.
But I think for indie designers, because you are both right, but do you want to create an art or you want to make living out of your art? Exactly. And if you want to make living today, you have to go out there and create your personal brand. There is no other way today.
Yeah, 100% yes.
Actually, one of my dear friends, she's a model. She's very, very good looking, and at the same time, she's a brand designer. She's a fashion designer. She had her own brands and such. But at a certain point, when you get, like, the brands are contacted you for your face to be at the front row of your shows and such, it means that this time you cannot anymore allocate it to create new collections. And I think what you say, it is true, but it's also true that it's very, very hard to manage at a certain level when you have to choose, and sometimes you need more time, but you don't have the money to invest to, So
yeah, that's definitely true. But it's. I believe that once you start to make money out of that, you can allow yourself to slowly start to hire people that can help you with personal branding. So, for example, I don't know, write you scripts for your videos, write the posts, write all the things that you don't want to do, so you can allocate more time on designing. But there will be a certain point where you don't have time for what you love, but you are still pushing because you know where you want to arrive.
So exactly, it's depending on what is your first goal, but you have to have a strategy to reach your goals at the end.
But luckily, generative AI can help you with that too. So there's a.
But please not with writing posts.
Yes.
And maybe one more thought regarding social media and all that. I think if it is not your medium, and if you really feel like this is not your space, maybe if everyone is online, try something offline. I think also maybe that could be an alternative strategy. Also in the 2000s, designers would do trunk shows. They would find like an abandoned space in the city and do a show, whatever. I think maybe just go against the grain then. Maybe send.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, maybe send out a portfolio in physical somewhere. Not.
And I think the reality is that most of the people who have established very strong personal brands, that has been their main focus, or they've had a platform from which to do that, like they've been the creative director of a big company or a company that's done well, and that has allowed them to build up that brand alongside doing that. So I do think it's unrealistic to expect people to be able to really focus on all elements of building a business, building a personal brand, and being creative. So maybe the other option is partner with somebody who already has that existing personal brand and be the operating partner instead.
Yes. So actually my second question was, who do you think are the main actors of creativity? And what are the most favorable places for its expression? Are they vibrant places where creation is all around? And
for me, there are two. The gender question. I think it's a very sociological, political, and also an aesthetic question. So I think about G.W. Anderson, for example, who is working about this question. And also the new obstacles, which for me are sustainability and also cultural appropriation. Because when you have those two constraints, you are forced to work in a how to say that, in a nice way, where everything is done in a fair way. And I think Germania, for example, is proven us that you can do something in a sustainability way, but it's fun, it's dazzling, it's joyful. It doesn't have to mean minimalism and bored garments.
yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, because you asked about who are the actors. So I think in the forefront of it, it's always the designers, of course, and the creative directors, artists. But then now we have a different landscape where developers of AI, software engineers who are creating tools, even like founders who are creating fashion tech tools and businesses. So all of these comes to the
Content creators.
Yeah, content creators and even the consumers, because they are also now hyping up things, setting trends, and also like when you take materials, like engineers who are creating these materials and artisans from even like different cultures who are now trying to bring back old heritage arts and crafts. So there are so many actors now, I think, in this landscape.
Yes, Jim.
Yeah, I think I've spoken a lot about social media, so maybe moving off that as a creative space. The kind of area in fashion that I think is one of the areas where there's the most creativity at the moment is actually like in the intersection of different industries. So I think there's kind of this blurring of boundaries between what is fashion and what is hospitality or restaurants or cafes, in that brands are no longer just focusing on the design of apparel and accessories. They're actually trying to create like full brand worlds and experiences. So major labels are opening, hotels or restaurants or cafes, or Jonathan Anderson is having his Cabinet of Curiosities, or there's Miu Miu doing a literary salon at the literary club at the Salon de Mobile. Like they're all kind of, I guess, disrupting these kind of traditional boundaries between different industries and different types of art form. And I think that that's where a lot of interesting creativity is happening.
Yes.
I'm also thinking again of this description that I sometimes use for my own work, which is workflow architect, and sometimes it's difficult to understand what that means exactly. I like this term and this practice because I think it is extremely creative, and I think it's extremely relevant to designing today. And basically, it's this idea that a designer looks at technology and is solving a problem through that. And to be even more precise, I'm thinking, for example, of upcycling. A few years ago, again, like also during studies, lots of us weren't interested in upcycling because we were thinking it's not scalable. You have to cut up old things to create something new. How's that going to satisfy the demand for more clothes and so on? But then if you think of it in a larger scale, you could find a workflow that helps you to analyze and sort old garments, that helps you to deconstruct and reconstruct it to find out which pattern pieces fit into what leftovers. So to look at AI that is maybe not made for fashion production, but that helps you in these processes, and then you have a system that generates upcycled designs. As a designer, you did not design, like you didn't sketch the specific items, but you sketched out the whole pipeline.
Correct. So maybe would you like to say a conclusion before I ask to our audience to ask their questions? Anything else you want to tell? You've forgotten.
I think it would be too much to tell, so maybe just wait for the questions.
Yeah, certainly. Too much thing to tell. But also for the catwalks, before we were investing massive amount of money into catwalks. We continue to do it, but we have to also align with the experience online, and we also invest in the experience online. So it's always opening new doors. So we do always more and more and invest new spaces. But the creativity certainly is still there. That could be a conclusion.
Yeah, and also that this is what we were saying at the beginning. It's you're saying that it's opening new doors, and those new doors actually they cost money. So again, it's about the global groups, the big groups who have those money, that it's okay and it's possible for them to invest and to produce new creativity. So again, maybe some new designers are not. Sorry, I missed my word. They are not seen. Their creativity isn't seen because of the lack of money that we were saying at the beginning.
Okay. But Instagram is free, except for the data.
Yeah,
so
but
it's not.
it takes really, really huge effort to be visible on Instagram. And if you think, like you said, the huge brands that have money, they are taking Instagram. Then there are users that know that it's an advertisement, so they prefer to connect with real humans. They are raving fans of real humans, but still, it's really hard to arrive to the point that people are seeing you.
Yeah, maybe in this landscape we can also talk about collaborations, because during the Paris Fashion Week now there's a physical digital pop-up by one of my friends, and she's also showcasing here in Drippy, so they're doing 3D fashion, and so I'm collaborating with few of my designs. So the physical designs that you will see in the store will also be in her space in this digital landscape, and young designers can also like mix and match and take parts of the design and fusion it. So I think there's chances like that, but I know there's no way we can compete with those big brands at this level, but good things are happening.
You make me think about this guy who organized the diffusion of the Christian Dior catwalk in a bar, just like we do for football matches. And it was a big, big success. Did you saw it on social network? And that kind of thing is possible. Okay, so thank you so much. It's time for you to ask your questions, if you have. Yes. Please ask your question in the micro.
I just want to say thank you. That was really, really thoughtful. Really, really nice talk. My question was what do you think the most important focus will be when creating a software which bridges fashion and tech? And where do most people go wrong?
It's all about design today. And this makes come out this kind of questions if we are taking away creativity. But the reality is that if you create 10,000 beautiful images, but you can't produce them, they are useless. And what is missing is this part, what happens after design and before the garments are sent to manufacturer. So the whole part of product development process, really, I see few tools that are taking this part, probably because it is much harder to do, probably because you really need to know the process in fashion to be able to do that. But still, I am waiting for more tools like this. Because in this way, you generate those nice images with AI, but those nice images are real garment at the end.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think there has been a huge focus on image generation because it felt like the easiest thing to do technically. It was where there was a lot of venture capital interest, and so there was funding available for products or projects in that area. And I think probably the area that does get more left behind is product development and also going all the way through to the manufacturer. I think manufacturers are very underserved when it comes to AI and technology in general. So something that can connect up better design through to manufacturing is personally where I think there's a lot of opportunity and white space.
What software are you using for your creations?
So I'm using a lot of different tools. In 3D, it's mostly Blender. I work with DAZ. I work with Clothes 3D a lot. And then in AI, I use Stable Diffusion, Flux models. I sometimes train LoRa's, but also often use generic models like Midjourney. And then there are developer tools that are like that they offer you access to different APIs or different AI models. And really the difficulty is always to be open to using new tools, because you might have figured out one workflow that works, and then you make a really nice Google Doc with a tutorial for yourself, so you remember everything, but then the next task is gonna have different requirements. And so I think where things can go wrong in the first step is that you don't allow yourself enough time to have an overview of the landscape and to maybe be open to trying a new tool and taking the time to learn it.
I'd also like to add something, because you wanted to know about the opportunities in software and tech fashion industries. So I'm a self-taught designer. I had to reverse engineer lots of things, and I'm still learning. And then where I went terribly wrong was pattern making and sizing. So Sylvia here and even Jermaine, both of them are working on software related to that areas. And once I paid somebody a thumping amount to create tech packs. And when they call fashion tech packs, I was like, oh, I have to pay somebody to get it done. But when they gave it to me, I was like, I could have done it. And so, not knowing, because it's a new area for me, and me being in tech, I've always come across with these ideas where I have now 1,000 ideas to make softwares with, and my husband is like, you need to pick one. But there are still lots of space in this area, because all of them were telling, if you go through the process, in the whole process from the design to the actual product, there's still a lot to be done. And we are still in the generating images part mostly. So yeah, that's what I wanted to add.
You can also visit Avantex. There are some nice software there that could interest you. And also we have the Avantex Fashion Pitch, and some of the startups, they have nice ideas as well. Do we have another question? Don't be shy. No question. Okay, so maybe you can discuss with our speakers later. And so it's time for me to close this panel conversation and announce that we have actually the final of the Avantex Fashion Pitch coming at 3:30. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.